Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, March 7th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about the tool of charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, first just want to quickly personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you're liking what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader and get good positive results, then certainly get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed on. So definitely, if you're liking what you see, get signed up for the free class next week. Now, a couple of quick clarification points before I jump into the watch list. First off, you're not crazy. You're not seeing things. You don't need to go to the eye doctor. Yes, that price is still changing. Yes, this candle is still moving around because the market is still open for a few moments. But I like to do these videos when the market's open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day action. But the market is still close enough to being done for the day where everything I talk about will be relevant as we head into Monday. And then next, if you're not watching any of my videos and if you're a beginner, I will be using the 30-minute time frame, which means each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So first one here, ticker symbol IMPP, did this analysis previously, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the previous videos, but talked about that resistance line right there, and you can see that earlier on in the day, acted as resistance, and then right there, during that 30-minute session, the price broke out, and has never really looked back, and off to the races, the price is gone. So for anybody that played that trendline breakout right there, a big congratulations to you. You're ending the week very, very nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And this is why I like to do it, when the market's still open, because check it out. As I talk, last 30 minutes of the day, and given that it's Friday, the last 30 minutes of the week, you can see now pushing to new highs as I speak. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that line there as it served its purpose for now. So if you're somebody that likes to play pullbacks, then an interesting pullback area right here at $2.80, which is that former breakout point. So that just, is based upon the principle and levels of resistance are broken and closed above. They can tend to act as support. So of course, nothing's guaranteed, but by no means is that some sort of random area on the chart. That does make a whole lot of sense to keep an eye on 280. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, let's get that out of here. The next key level here that everybody's going to be watching, rightfully so, is right up here at $3.50, which is the high from back here. When was that? In late January. And who knows? Market's still open for 5 minutes. So maybe, just maybe, this thing ultimately does get up above 350. So if you're watching this, by the time I get it posted and you're then looking at the chart and seeing that IMPP closes above 350, that would just be that much more evidence that the momentum and the bullishness has continued. But any way you look at it, it's already bullish enough. But as of now, 350 is that level of resistance. But if the price pushes up through there, that's just that much more strength. Next one, CEI, and what a crazy day this one had. I take that back. Not day, but really just afternoon, because the first part of the day, nothing was going on. But then all of a sudden, the volume came pouring in. The price reacted very nicely with it. And don't get me wrong, those things are all positive and great, but what I find most intriguing about this one is this area of resistance right here at 80 cents, which a bunch of people are going to be watching. I mean, you can see right there, 80 cents rejected the price. And then once again, during the last 30 minutes, rejected the price. So I'm not saying that the price can never push through there. I'm just saying a bunch of people have noticed that level. And when lots of people around the world are watching the same level, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. So moving forward, 80 cents is certainly going to be a level where, while nothing's guaranteed, it is more than plausible to think that if the price can work its way up to that area and then get the push up through it, that break right there could very well create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as supports are concerned, key area of support, if this does pull back at all, going to be down there right around the 68 cent mark. Next one, INDO, another just absolute monster today. Truly a monster. And once more, this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the previous video, but if you did, I drew that trend line right there. So for anybody that noticed this during that opening 30 minutes of the day where the price had the gap up, came up, broke through that resistance line that I drew, and then, just truly off to the races. Congratulations for those that played that breakup. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines now as they've served their purpose. But as far as key levels to keep an eye on now moving into next week, as far as supports are concerned, interesting level that stands out to me right down there at that $32 mark. So keep a close eye on that. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, the main dynamic here that really stands out right up there at $45. I do realize that at one point, the price did spike up to that area, but then after the price fell back below it, notice how it just got stuck right around that area once again. So going back to the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies, I assure you, a lot of people are watching 45. So while that doesn't guarantee anything, more than valid to think that If the price were to come up here and break through 45, that could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So $45, I think, will be what most people are going to be talking about all weekend long, and then keeping an eye on for Monday. Next one here, AMC, not a good day at all. Not because the price was down or anything like that, but just from a technical point of view, the price had been, setting up inside of this nice little pattern here, but then you can see it opening 30 minutes, price broke down below there, and then from there, kind of the exact opposite of some of these other stocks we've been seeing that broke to the upside and then kept on going. This broke to the downside and kept on going. So overall, a bearish breakdown of the pattern for AMC. So we'll go ahead and get those lines out of there as they serve their purpose. So now as far as supports are concerned, in terms of new areas, definitely a must-hold level that I would call down here at 1565. And the reason I call that must-hold is, let me actually squeeze this down. And I'm not saying at all this is what's going to actually happen, but if the price were to come down to 1565 and then break down below it, that's literally all of a sudden putting the price right down at these lows where it was back there in February. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power. Again, not saying that's what's going to happen, just explaining why I would consider 1565 such an important area of support. If the price does try to bounce back upwards, then that main overarching level of resistance right now going to be right up here at $17.30. So keep an eye on that. But overall, definitely a bearish day. Definitely bearish momentum showed up here with that, break to the downside. So it's really just a question of, is it going to get more bearish on Monday, or can the bulls step back up? So it'll be a very interesting situation. Next one here, NIO. And I put this very strategically within the watch list because it illustrates the point of what you don't want to see happen with AMC, which is what I was just talking about. So look at AMC. Fantastic bounce. But now look where it is. Came back down to that green line, which I talked about previously, and broke down below it. So it has literally gone right back to where it started. So in some senses, just a little miniature pump and dump, right? Pump and then dump. Now, of course, I'm not saying the company is a scam, pump and dump, but just the pattern itself was a great bounce and then officially has given everything back up. So that's why from the AMC standpoint, why that level of support, I would argue, is so important, because you don't want a chart that looks like this. But this is also now where the first update comes into play, and this is based on the rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So right up here at 1975, if there is any sort of consolidation and then attempt back to the upside, the big question mark will be, okay, well, yeah, it's great the price is bouncing, but does the bounce have enough strength to push above and stay above 1975? So keep an eye on that. And then from the support standpoint, which does make this a very interesting situation, is right down here at $18.50. You can see the last time the price got there, very nice bounce. And now all of a sudden the price has gotten down to that level and it started to go sideways. Now, is it guaranteed that it's going to bounce again? Of course not. No guarantees. But is it plausible? Is it valid to think, it's bounced from there before, maybe it'll bounce again? Yeah, that's completely a rational thought process to have, but you got to honor those stops and have risk management and discipline, because if this is going to keep on bleeding, you don't want to turn into some sort of hold and hope situation. But if you can be disciplined, then you could certainly structure yourself a nice little risk versus reward scenario. Next one, GRAB, a pretty brutal looking chart, but an interesting one because it does remain, with high volume, high liquidity, and it's a price range that a lot of people are, interested in. And really a couple different ways I could see that you could potentially play this. If you like to play breakouts, well, then this thing's got quite the interesting downtrend line right there. That's relatively steep. So if you like to play breakouts, then once again, I'm not saying any of this is guaranteed, but it's at least plausible and logical to think. But that if the price, I just noticed this actually, so I don't mean to cut myself off in the middle of that sense, but look at the last 30 minutes. Very nice volume there. But if this last bit of volume surge, this little doji candle, potentially can push up to here and get a break of that trend line, well then yeah, from a trading standpoint, that could create a very tradable opportunity. Or if you're somebody that likes to play more so pullbacks, so going back to the whole NIO thing, if you like to try to play potentially bounces, well then there is a track record of this thing bouncing right down there around the $3 mark. So that's another potential scenario that you could watch. But if the price just comes down to $3 and blasts through there, well that just illustrates that this already very brutally looking chart is looking that much more brutal. Next one, VEON. Big congratulations to anybody that watched the video previously. I talked about that red line, and you can see the price gapped up right there, broke through that red line, and then made a very, very nice overall move. So again, for anybody that watched that one, congratulations. Well done on that trade. But now we have some new updates that need to be made with a very impressive movement that played out today. So one of the newest areas of support is now going to be this little bottom portion of the consolidation range. Let's just call that at 35 cents. And then as far as areas of resistance are concerned, two main dynamics stand out to me. The first one is this downtrending trend line area right there. I mean, check that out. Amazing. The power of charts, the power of technical analysis, and why. Get signed up for the class next week. I mean, check it out. By using that point and that point, it forecasted where that level of resistance was, and that level of resistance. So does that mean that that's going to continue to be a resistance? No, but does that mean that it's a very valid area to be watching and taking notes on? Absolutely. So keep a close eye on that as time goes on next week. If the price can get up there and break through that trend line, then that could certainly bring in quite a bit of momentum. But 35 very important because going back to the whole AMC NIO thing, you don't want to see the price go down to 35, break down below it, and then go right back to where it was, because that would symbolize that this bounce here doesn't really have any sort of genuine power behind it. But as of now, showing some power. Let's see if it can build upon itself next week. Next one, OXY, and I fully admit I'm late to the party on this one. What an absolutely just huge move after it broke through that level and has continued to grind upwards. Granted, this one has a lot to do with the news going on around the world, but still, it's a very strong uptrend. So if you're someone that likes to play uptrends, then this might be one of the strongest uptrends right now in the market. But you also don't want to be chasing the price. So in my opinion, buying any sort of breakout right there through those highs, a little too risky for me. That doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to make money from doing so. Like I said, with big uptrends like this, I think it makes a little bit more sense to let the price pull back. That way you're not suffering from FOMO or fear of missing out. And an interesting potential pullback point right there, right at the $52 mark, or depending on how you want to approach it, maybe you want to see if the price approaches that 50 period moving average. So that's obviously up to you and your personal risk tolerance. But this one certainly needs to be on a watch list, especially if you like to play trends, because this one has a very strong trend, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see if this trend continues next week, or if there's going to be some sort of pullback opportunity where you can let the momentum chill out for a little bit and then hop back in before the momentum picks back up. So certainly a very interesting chart and one I'll be watching. Next one, BCEL, and this is there's nothing fancy behind this at all, other than the fact of, look at the last 30 minutes here. Absolutely monster move. Is this the start of something much bigger? I have no idea. Maybe this is just a little quick move and then it's going to fade off into oblivion. That's always possible too. But the idea here is that, think about what has to happen. In order for me to ask the question, is this the start of something bigger? Well, something needs to first happen in the first place. And that's clearly what's happened here. Huge volume, huge price movement. So is this the start of something bigger? I have no idea, but the whole point of a watch list is to, watch certain stocks that have some interesting things going on. And I would argue this is the epitome of being interesting. Huge surge, huge candle, last 30 minutes of the week. So let's see if it carries into Monday. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And what I want to do here is get a couple things updated. This level right here is not relevant right now, but I just want to keep an eye on it going into next week. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend that resistance trend line out right there. But very clearly now, after today, the near-term area of resistance, which isn't too shocking. That's why these are famous moving averages. But it's kind of a 1-2 combo. You have both the purple line, the 50 period moving average. You have the pink line, the 200 period moving average. And just the way things have worked out right now, they are basically right on top of one another. So while that does not mean that area cannot be broken, it does illustrate that, if there is going to be any sort of turnaround, then Tesla's got some pretty big work to do, because, like I said, I think this will be a very, not an impossible level, but a level that's really going to require some good, strong movement. Right now, valued right up around the 855 mark. So keep an eye on that from resistance. And then, if the price can push up through there, the next overarching resistance right up here around 875, that trend line right there. As far as supports are concerned, well, at this point, I'm thinking that the 815 mark, that green line, which I've talked about previously, does seem to have more of a higher chance of now getting tested. But to be fair, Tesla did start to construct a bit of an uptrend trend line right here. Now, don't get me wrong, just because I'm able to draw this little miniature uptrending trend line means that, okay, everything's fine. Tesla's down, it's done downtrending. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, okay, let's see if the price can bare minimum stay above that trend line right there. But if the price does break down through that trend line, especially if it's a high volume break, then at that point, I would not be shocked at all to see the Tesla at least test 815. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, you want to learn more about this tool of technical analysis and how it can be used to build trade plans, build consistency, help you out as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free class. Like I said, it'll be next week, Thursday, March 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these types of videos, please let me know, and you can do that very easily. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment, even if it's just saying thanks. Say hi. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching next week. But those two things, hitting the like button, leaving a simple comment below, communicate to me that you enjoy these watch lists. As long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to put them together. So again, definitely get signed up for the free class next week. Hopefully I'll see you there. And everybody take care and have a good weekend.